Welcome into the GOAT. That's the Diana Taurasi studio here at PHNX. It's the PHNX Suns post-game show, and the GOAT tonight was one Devin Booker. Big comeback for your Suns as they win 118-114. We're brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. I'm Espo. He's Saul. And that was one hell of a freaking game, Bookman.
You know it was one hell of a game when broadcaster Espo shows up.
Hey,
wow!
How about some excitement, Bookman? Come on.
That was awesome.
That was one of the most amazing single performances we have seen from a Phoenix Sun. This was not a Suns comeback. This was a Devin Booker comeback tonight.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You don't have to yell at me about it. I'm going to join your enthusiasm as soon as you just ratchet it down for a second. Listen, Devin Booker was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. And if it weren't for it, we talked about Mikal. I have no faith that CP3 can match, can step up to the level offensively anymore. I just don't. So it had to be Mikal to step up and offset Devin Booker. I forgot about the fact that Devin Booker could just double up. And so instead of him getting 30 and maybe Mikal getting 20, he was like, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself starting in the third quarter. And he just dominated. Hey, listen, for a long period of time, I was like, I wasn't one of those detractors that said Devin Booker only does this against bad teams or he's an empty stat stuffer. But, I wanted to see him on a good team. He's been one of the best guards in the league for the last 4 or 5 years. And this season, I know he's had a rough stretch of the last 2 weeks, but this season, I've always said I wanted to see him do what Steph does. I want to see him do what Klay has done from time to time, where they have like those tremendously big quarters where nobody in the world can stop him. Devin Booker did that tonight. He had one of those games where it didn't matter. Michael Jordan could have been on that court tonight, and it would not have mattered because he was in the zone about midway through the third quarter. You could see it in his eyes. You're like, oh, if the Pels fuck around, they're going to lose this game because Devin Booker is on one. And sure as shit, that's what happened.
That hoop was as big as the Pacific Ocean tonight for Devin Booker. The only thing that stopped him was his own team in the fourth not getting him the ball enough. But we'll get to that. I'm not going to pussyfoot around. We're naming Devin Booker your DraftKings king of the game right off the top. 58 points. I believe it was 5 rebounds, 5 assists. He should have had 60. And I wish that final 3 went in because it would have been such poetic justice after the Zion dunk for Devin to hit a 3 to put him at 60 points. But hell, that was a fun game to watch. Devin with his 5th game of 40 or more points this season. It was spectacular what he was able to do. 19 in the third quarter alone, which was huge.
From the outside, he hit the threes, he hit the middies. He took it to the only weakness on Booker's game tonight, shockingly, it was his free throw shooting. If he hit his free throws, he'd have been well over 60.
Yeah, he went 10 of 15 from the free throw line, so he left 5 points on there. He could have had 63 easy.
It would be hard-pressed for you to go back in the archives of any Devin Booker game since probably high school to see him miss 5 free throws in a game.
Yeah, you know what's hilarious to me? 6 3-pointers again. He got stuck at 6. He was 6 of 12. He has never hit 7 in a regular season game. 6 is where he tops out at, which was unfortunate. Mm-hmm. I thought he was going to get 7 today.
Yeah, I thought he was too. And you're right. If he would have hit that last 3, that would have been kind of poetic justice.
So that's why he is our DraftKings king of the game. There was nobody else that could have been. But if you're looking to put some shekels down on some NFL games tomorrow, some future NBA games, DraftKings is the place to do it. It's the best sports book in America. All you have to do is download that app, put in that promo code PHNX, and then you bet $5 pregame money line bet on any NBA team to win. If they do, you're getting $150 in free bets. It's that easy. That's right. Use that promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And I know that anybody that was betting the Suns money line tonight early on probably felt a little bit of clenching because DraftKings had him as a -3 a favorite in this game, and they were down 24 in early on in this game. So you know people that were on that DraftKings Sportsbook app were having a little bit of concern early in.
Oh no, listen, nobody thought the Suns were going to win at halftime.
No,
nobody. No, absolutely zero. You just go through the Twitter mentions and you could see that. I being one of them, I was like, well, this is a shitty game. And then Armani took over. And listen, Armani mode is just a different kind of mode, people. And I think we've seen that about 4 or 5 times this year so far. There's probably more to come, hopefully, knock on wood. He was phenomenal. And listen, Devin Booker is the leader of this franchise. And I am 1,000% confident in saying, and he will be until the day he retires. He is the greatest Phoenix Sun of all time. I don't give a shit about MVPs. I don't give a shit about championships. He's already done enough in my eyes to be the greatest Phoenix Sun of all time. He's just a different dude, man. We've had seasons or a couple seasons of, like Steve Nash was never really an alpha. But he was a great player, and he had 2 back-to-back fucking MVP seasons, which was awesome. Charles was like the first like alpha, like get the fuck out of the way, give me the ball kind of dude. And he had that for about 1 or 2 seasons, and then he kind of went about his way. Devin Booker's been this dude since he came into the league. It took him a little bit to get going, and once he got going, it's beautiful to watch. I've said that a million times before. When Devin Booker is in his mode, it is some of the best basketball you could watch because he does it at every single level.
Yeah, we've been hammering that Armani mode for years when we talk about this. And this year it has been another level, right? Oh, hey, look, our friend Phoenix stopped by today. He said, how'd that glorified bookmark Clippy get on here before me? I think Phoenix is a little pissed off. But look, Devin is on another level. He's just showing up. I guess we're now going to just have Phoenix stop by. But Devin went to another level, and you brought up him being the greatest Sun of all time, and I'm 100% there with you. I took a lot of shit on Twitter for saying this, but you go look at it. Devin Booker has 2 more 50-point games this season than Charles Barkley had in his entire career. Not just the 4 years he spent in Phoenix, his entire career. He has more 40-point games as a Sun than Devin Booker had, or than Charles Barkley had. Devin has 5 this year, 40 or more points. Barkley only had 3 in his 4 years here. He has more 40-point plus games than Charles Barkley, Steve Nash, and Walter Davis combined this year. Like,
it's crazy.
He is the greatest Phoenix Sun of all time when it comes to skills, what he's able to do on the offensive end, how he's able to lift this team. Now, you can argue all-star games, you can argue playoff wins or whatever you want, and MVPs, but you got to keep in mind how young he is, where he is, and the number of opportunities he's had with this team. Devin Booker will far surpass all that if he stays healthy, and I think he is pretty solid in my books, already the best Phoenix Sun ever.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. And I do want to address one other thing. There's some people in the chat that talking about the minutes he played, or the concern about he might pull his hammy and stuff like that. As a general rule of thumb in it's like almost like the unwritten rules of baseball, right? As a general rule of thumb, just like they say in The Hangover, you never pull somebody that's on an all-time heater. Okay. The rules don't apply to when you're in the zone. Hammy be damned or not. Like, fuck that. Because what you're doing is you're taking, you're taking somebody's skill, somebody's gift that they're allowing us all to see away. Why would you do that? Why would you be like that? Don't do that. Don't take him away from the game. He was amazing tonight. And you just got to enjoy how amazing he was. Do not talk about the hamstring. Don't talk about the minutes he played, because it's all irrelevant. He's healthy right now. He played a phenomenal game. Just enjoy the moments.
He only played 42 minutes in this game. That's not that much. Like, that's not ridiculous.
6 shy of the full game.
It's not, but it's not ridiculous. Like, it's not, he didn't play all 48. And If he had, I wouldn't say shit either, because he scored 58. The Suns had 118 total. He almost scored half their points. You had to keep him out there, especially when you were mounting that 24-point comeback. They brought him back in after 1 minute and 6 seconds in the fourth quarter. They didn't want to give him any rest because they couldn't afford to give him any rest. They needed him out there. They needed every single one of those points to get this victory. And, you know, I'm amazed at what he was able to do. I mean, they had an epically bad second quarter and midway through the first through the second quarter. Epically bad. One of the worst I have ever seen. I think they got outscored. Let me pull up the exact what they got outscored here. They were outscored 52-28 from the mid-first to halftime. I mean, that's terrible.
Yeah.
They were down 24 at that point, and everybody and their mother were ready to write this off. There were people, I guarantee, that left that arena, turned this game off, and said, well, the freaking Pelicans just have the Suns number.
I mean, I don't blame them. Listen, if it weren't for an all-God performance by Devin Booker, we'd be sitting here talking about a loss. Because the Suns were terrible tonight. They were awful. They were absolutely awful until the second half. And then it was like Booker gave them that juice, and everybody started to raise their level of play, which was great. I mean, at one point, Devin Booker had more than half of the Suns' points, almost damn near at the end of the third quarter. Like, that's unacceptable. I don't care how hot he is. You can't have somebody have 43 points and the rest of the team have 42. What are we doing here? Like, listen, I'm not gonna take away from the glory that was Devin Booker tonight. But I will say, like, yeah, I get it. Listen, you want your team to play hard. You want them to play with effort. And they were getting housed left and right, breakdowns on defense and a bunch of other shit. But Devin Booker saved him.
We'll get into the bench. But in that third quarter alone, Devin Booker played all 12 minutes, shot 8 of 12 from the field, 2 of 3 from three-point line, and had 20 points. 20 of their 38. He almost outscored the Pelicans. The Pelicans had 26 in the quarter. That was the turning point that got this team back in the game, stopped the bleeding, and put them within striking distance. And I think that was one of his finest performances in a quarter ever. I know he's scored more before. He's gone off hotter, but given the moment, the team you're playing, what they had done to you a week before, going out there and just owning that quarter.
I think the only other performance for myself, that I can compare to this game was Western Conference Finals Game 1, where he had a triple-double.
Yes.
That was an elite performance. But in my estimation tonight, because we've seen him score big points before, and in a lot of those games, the Suns are up. They're in control of the game, right? Mm-hmm. This one was different. This one, they had no control of the game. Devin Booker had to wrestle control of the game basically by himself and will this team to victory. This is one of the few times where I felt like Devin Booker went to another level tonight, like Kobe, like MJ, like the greats, and was like, and found it and was able to pull and rally his team by himself. And it's again, that's just growth. That's growth, and that's something you want to see from your superstar and your leader and basically your captain. You know, like I was sitting there kind of bitching a little bit on Twitter because Chris Paul has been that guy for his team so many times, and at the end of this game, Chris Paul thought he was still that dude and tried to get like the big buckets, right? Instead of deferring to Devin Booker. Which I did not like. Now, luckily, Chris Paul hit a couple shots down the stretch, so it didn't really matter, and it was good, and it helped the team. But I really felt like tonight was a passing of the torch officially. Like, there is no way CP3 should be taking last-second shots unless he's fucking bloody wide open. Because Devin Booker is that guy. You defer to him. This is his team. Don't you dare, CP3. No more.
Yeah, but look, he didn't have a bad fourth. He went 2 of 4, had 2 3-pointers, had 7 points, 3 assists. Chris Paul was enough to help them close it out. But you and I were both screaming, just get Devin Booker the damn ball.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about his stats, to be honest with you. I wanted Devin Booker to be touching the ball a lot more. That's it. Like CP3 had no right to even shoot those shots because it should have been Devin Booker.
I agree, but and there were a few times where he kind of ignored Book and went for
the one time when he caught the ball after Devin Booker got the ball out of his hands, I think he went to Okogie, then it swung to Chris Paul. The double team both left him. He was wide open on the left side, and CP3 decided to take a step back three-pointer and miss. And I was like, what the fuck are we even doing right now? Yeah. Guy, wake up. You are not that guy anymore. Pass the ball to the guy that is the man.
His 2 threes did help them seal this deal, though. So, but I agree. Devin deserved the ball more, and I didn't think they ran enough picks for him to try to get him out of the double team in the fourth there. But they played a hell of a game. I mean, Devin Booker. I wish we could talk about something other than Devin Booker that was a positive tonight, but really, it was Book. Book did everything tonight that this team needed. And I know you want to pump the brakes, but this is what an MVP is made of. And I get that he had some rough games when he was hurt, and that kind of quieted that. But this is the kind of performance that you look at and you go, this is what an MVP is made of.
This is true, but the unfortunate part is that this is not on national television.
No.
And the other 2 games were. And the other 2 games, they got absolutely obliterated. And the other 2 games, he did not show up. So that hurts his case, right? But obviously in the totality of a season, when we get to the end of the season and we look at how many points Booker averaged, which I think I'm pretty confident in saying that he's going to exceed his career high in terms of average points in a season. We'll look at this and look at a game like this and say, this should contribute to the cause. I still think he's not in the top 3 right now.
No, not right now.
But he is, again, there's ebbs and flows to this season. The Celtics will drop off a little bit at some point. Jason Tatum will drop off at some point, but then he'll pick his play back up. Just like Booker dropped off a little bit, he'll pick his play back up. So it's just the last man standing at the end of the season who's playing really, really well at the end of the year. And Devin Booker's, when he has nights like this, it's hard to doubt whether or not he's an MVP candidate because he is.
Well, yeah, and if he rattles off a handful of games like we saw that stretch earlier where he went 51 and then 2 40-point performances, easy enough for me to say, we could be having that conversation again. And big Christmas Day matchup with Jokic to do something in terms of national TV audience. Booker looked extremely comfortable out there tonight. I mean, there is no doubt in that. And you know what makes me feel comfortable?
Four Peaks, because Four Peaks is fantastic.
Wrong,
and the holiday cheer box
sponsor.
will come for you.
No, wrong sponsor.
But Four Peaks was right after DraftKings, king of the game.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
That was last show. We're on a More Furniture read tonight.
I literally looked at it.
You were looking at the wrong thing then, buddy, because it's a More Furniture.
Pull it up and send receipts. I got it.
Oh, hey, you know what? I'm wrong. You're right. More Furniture is what I'm going to, though, because I'm in charge, and you can sit there and shut up.
It hasn't changed all week. It literally has not changed all week.
More Furniture is what I'm going to talk about. These chairs from More Furniture, extremely comfortable, and Devin Booker looked just as comfortable as we do on these chairs tonight. Talk about awkwardness. It's just fun. Lindsay, come back already. I don't like being in this
I tried
spot.
To save you, and you just kept going.
Go in any order. You don't have to go in the order. More Furniture is what you want for your home. Comfortable furniture. You can visit them at morefurniture.com. They got their holiday clearance event happening right now, and you can save up to 50% off on furniture. So
Chris, that was me with the facts, not Emma. Don't give her credit.
Emma always has facts.
Yeah, and my fact for today is yes, it does matter. The fucking order of the ad
does
reads.
not
There you
matter.
go. Get on his ass.
You
producer.
can go in any order according to Max as long as
wanna
they're
bet?
all done.
You wanna bet?
That is not the case.
Yes, there's
Lies.
only 2 that we can't go
Absolute
back to back.
lies.
You want me to call? I'll call Max on the show. We can have this.
You know what the chat wants right now? The chat wants to talk about Okogie.
Yeah, also Cycle Blue wanted to talk about something else too. But.
We'll get to Okogie. Also, our friends at Four Peaks. Would you like to talk about them as well.
Sure. Now that we're in the rotation,
let's talk
Four
about
Peaks. How dare my guy Espo just completely ignore you? I got you though. We're right here with the holiday cheer box right in front of us. It's fantastic. It's very yummy. Different beers from I mean, basically their whole collection.
Can we open
have.
the
Yes,
17?
we can. You can open it because I'm sitting here talking.
All right, you tell.
So yeah, listen. Four Peaks has got this holiday cheer box. They're just about to run out, so you got to get it tomorrow or Monday, and I think that's about it. So plus, a little Redbird Lager. Hopefully the Cardinals will do something tomorrow. But listen, you got to be 21 and over. Our friends at Four Peaks are the sponsor of our PHNX Tea Party as well. They are. It's a phenomenal event, so come check us out. Check out the show links. They'll be all up on our chat. But it's a great golf time out there at the Dobson Ranch. So come join us. Four Peaks will be there. They'll be giving out samples. They'll be giving out beer. You can come out, get yourself a single or foursome, whatever you want to do. Come on out, join us, and watch the Timberwolves versus the Suns on the 13th. It's going to be a good time. And
one of the best parts of this is if you're a diehard member, you can save on that. And becoming a diehard member is easy. Just go over to gophnx.com. Sign up today. You're going to get a free shirt or hat every year when you sign up. You're going to get a membership card, which they're sick. They're amazing. You're going to always have discounts on our merch. You're going to have diehard only merchandise as well. Head over to gophnx.com and get your hands on some of that. Let's talk about the rest of the team tonight. We bagged a little bit on Chris Paul, but overall, pretty good game from Paul tonight. He finished with 18 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. Played pretty well. Shot efficiently from 3 as well. He was 5 of 7 from downtown, so 71% from long distance. Pretty good game from Chris Paul, but other than that, it was Devin Booker versus the world for a lot of this game. I was having flashbacks to some of those early Devin Booker years because literally he had to do it all, and it was inconsistency again. I mean, let's just talk about Mikal Bridges. I love my man Mikal, but I want to see back-to-back good offensive games from him.
I don't want to talk about either one of them. I want to talk about Josh Okogie because Josh Okogie was the other reason why the Suns won this game in the fourth quarter. Okay. If not for him, they might not have won this game either because his offensive rebounding was spectacular. He was a difference maker.
His heart, his hustle, yes. I mean, he had 5 of his 6 rebounds were offensive rebounds. Not great offensively from Okogie. Had 7 points all from the free throw line tonight. But yes, his heart, his hustle, his effort, and what he did on the boards.
The defense, the rebounding, the energy, we could sit there and look at stats all day long, but sometimes the intangibles win you games, and that's exactly what Josh Okogie did tonight. He did so many small things all over the court to just be a pest and throw the Pelicans off their rhythm on the defensive end. And then on the offensive side, the offensive rebounding, the effort, the energy, this team needs that so much. And it's nice when guys like Chris Paul can drop 15 for sure. Like they need that as well. But Chris Paul's energy out there is not a difference maker in it as opposed to like a Josh Okogie.
Okay, I'm gonna call bullshit on you here. Chris Paul had more of an impact in this game than Josh Okogie did.
Oh, you're high and out of your mind.
18 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. Josh Okogie's hustle and defense was great, but Chris Paul had more of an impact on tonight's game.
In the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he had 7 points. He
was wide open because of Devin Booker.
It doesn't matter. He made them.
He also chucked up 2 threes that had no business going up.
He made them.
Josh Okogie got offensive rebounds to provide those opportunities too.
Josh Okogie, great. He had 5 offensive rebounds. I applaud him. It was heart and hustle, but you cannot. You're just shitting on Chris Paul to shit on him. I'm not shitting on
Chris Paul to shit on him. Chris Paul is mid right now. He is.
He shot 6 of 11, shot 71% from 3, had 18 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. Also, that's not mid.
Tell me one impact play that he made that you can remember off the top of your head.
2 3-pointers in the 4.
Wide open because everybody's triple teaming fucking Devin Booker.
Nobody else was hitting him.
It does. He also
Nobody else was hitting him.
No, the game was on the line for no reason.
Didn't. He went 2 of 3 in the 4th from 3-point land.
Okay.
You're shitting on Chris Paul to shit on him.
Because Chris Paul has been mid all year. Like, I'm not letting him off the hook. He's got to play at a much higher level. Josh Okogie's energy infected the whole team.
I agree. Josh Okogie played great in terms of heart and hustle.
If Josh Okogie's not playing, do they win this game?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
I don't agree with that at all.
They didn't stop anybody defensively. They gave up 57 combined to Zion and McCollum.
Just think of how many they would have given up if Josh Okogie was unplaying.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okogie played well. Chris Paul had more of an impact.
If Devin Booker doesn't drop 58, you don't even notice Chris Paul's out there. Right?
I don't think that's the case.
It's 1,000,000% the case. They were trash in the first half. Where was Chris Paul helping out Devin Booker in that moment? He's the number 2, right? Chris Paul wasn't doing shit.
Let's look at the first half for Chris Paul.
When they were down by 24, where was Chris Paul there?
Where was anybody? When they were down 24, they all sucked.
Josh Okogie still gave you a lot of energy in the second half.
Josh Okogie,
no matter what.
Josh Okogie in the first half, when they went down 24, had 0 points.
It doesn't matter how many points. He's not a scorer.
2 rebounds.
He's not a scorer.
And 2 rebounds. Okay, I get it. Everybody.
I said Josh Okogie was a difference maker in the 4th quarter. Outside of Devin Booker, he was the primary other difference maker. That's not wrong.
Chris Paul in the 4th quarter had 2 3-pointers, 7 points, 3 assists.
Good for him. Okogie, 7 points in the 4th quarter. Cool.
Without those 7 points, they lose this game, is the point.
Somebody else might have scored. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Nobody else
Josh Okogie was the only one that provided a lot of energy, despite the fact that they were down or up, didn't matter. He always provides that energy. He's the only one that's been coming with it for the last 3 weeks.
Look, I agree that Josh Okogie has shown heart, hustle, and been great rebounding.
So me saying that he was awesome in the 4th quarter doesn't mean Chris Paul is like the savior because he had 7 points in the 4th. 7 points. Oh my God.
Chris Paul wasn't very good in this game.
I didn't think he was very good.
Great. You can be wrong. You're welcome to do that.
All right.
I put a poll in the chat. We have 58 votes. I said, who made more of an impact, CP3 or Josh Okogie? Josh Okogie has 74% and CP3 is 26%.
74% of the chat can be fucking wrong tonight. I'm fine with that. Yeah, Okogie was great and CP3 helped too. I mean, CP3 went out there, and without him, they do not win tonight.
Okay. What the fuck else do you want me to say? I didn't think Chris Paul was a difference maker tonight. I thought he hit some open threes because he finally got open because Devin Booker was getting triple teamed for goddamn near sake, and he finally hit some threes that were wide open. In the first half, he was almost non-existent. I'm like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm not a CP3 hater because I think CP3 was, I didn't even feel like he had an impact out there. He hit some shots. Cool. Awesome.
He had the second most points on the team. He had the most assists on the team.
With 18, my bad.
The most assists
and
on
the primary scorer had damn near 60. Had damn near 60. We're acting like CP3 had 30.
5%.
He had 18 points.
5 of 7 from 3.
Oh my
71% from deep.
Chris Paul is mid. Absolute mid right now.
That's fine. Look, that's not slandering Josh Okogie. I think heart and hustle is important on this team, and they need him. He's a motor for this group that definitely keeps them up and going. He has been for the last week. I think he's much surpassed Shamet at this point. He's in the rotation now for good. And I think that's definitely going to continue. But we talked about it. Could you imagine if a guy like an Ayton had the motor of an Okogie? Like a guy with that inherent talent, because Josh is making it happen with heart and hustle. Not an inherently great offensive guy, but if he had that kind of motor, it'd be pretty spectacular.
Yeah, CP3 had that kind of motor, he'd be pretty spectacular too. So I mean, it's irrelevant.
Okay. I love that you just like completely ignore stats and you just like, yeah, the guy who only had 7 points and 6 rebounds was significantly better.
Because stats don't tell the whole story, Espo. I don't give a fuck about stats. When I watch the game and I'm looking at how guys are playing out there with my eyes and seeing what kind of impact they're making. Josh Okogie, you could tell he was making an impact on his teammates.
From hustle,
he was
yes.
he was energizing these guys because of his play. Chris Paul was hitting open shots. Cool. Good for him.
I think the chat makes, and Juan in particular makes a good point. We should be looking at all the other guys not named Okogie, Booker, or Chris Paul when we're talking about people who had no impact. Torrey Craig, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 steals, a whole nothing burger in the fourth quarter in particular. Hardly played overall in the game. Just a bad look for him, as well as he had 0 points in the entire game, only 4 assists and 2 rebounds. He was a non-factor tonight. Our friend Jock Landell, 2 points. Landry Shamet, 4 points. Damian Lee hit 1 3 in his 13 minutes. Like the bench outside of Okogie was hot trash tonight.
Eli said Shamet is getting paid $10 million to just do cardio. This is very true. He was absolutely worthless there tonight. Listen, nobody had a good game out there outside of the guys that you mentioned. Mikal Bridges had a few bright spots here and there, but even he faded. It was a rough night overall. Again, if it weren't for Devin Booker tonight, this team would have lost by 25 easily.
Easily, yeah. Look, I'm also looking here. Outside of Devin Booker and Chris Paul, who had 11 threes, the rest of the team went 4 of 30 from deep tonight.
Yeah,
they need help. I mean, look, I'm happy to be excited about getting a win, beating the Pels. Devin Booker's big game, but there's still cracks in this foundation, and the fact that Devin has to drop 58, almost score half this team's points, is glaring that he needs help at this point. Mikal is inconsistent offensively. Chris Paul has been hit or miss all year long. And I don't think we're going to see back-to-back quality games from him at this point.
His hit again, you're giving me you're throwing alley-oops right now to me about Chris Paul.
Tonight he played well,
Chris
and other
Paul
nights he hasn't.
will have a good game, and then he'll disappear for like 4 or 5 offensively, scoring-wise. We're just talking about scoring. Listen, when I talk about Chris Paul, at this point, it's only about scoring. It's not about everything else. He's a perfectly fine facilitator. He can pass with the best of them still in this league. He's okay on defense. He's not egregious. He's not the guy he once was. He just is. If you can't see that, then I don't know what to tell you. He's a bit slow. Yeah, he looks like it takes a little bit. He's got that old man game where it just takes a little bit to get into it. You know what I mean?
And look, I agree with you that he's been mid in totality this year. Maybe even worse than mid in totality this year. I don't disagree on that.
The reason why he's listen, on any other team, let's say if he played for the Lakers, he'd be an okay player. He'd be a good player. But that's not what the Suns need at this point. They need somebody to be the absolute number 2. And because Chris Paul's not that guy anymore, and DA and Mikal go through these fucking ups and downs like we're at damn freaking castles and coasters, we're never gonna realize the potential that we think this team has until every piece is back in the puzzle, and then everybody can feel good because they know that they don't have to be the other guy. So it's always going to be Devin Booker and everyone else. It's Booker and whatever the Bookerettes or whatever the fuck you want to call them. like it's just, that is what it is right now. Like CP3 has gone from the number 2 to a role player. Mm-hmm. And that's not what the Suns need. No. They need somebody to step up. And you have to have guys score 60 damn points in order for you to win a game against an elite team in the Pels, and the Pels are a good team.
We're right back to where they were.
Yeah,
it's Devin Booker and role players. I mean, that's the reality. Now, DA from time to time can look like that guy offensively. McHale from time to time can look like that offensively, but I think we have to accept at this point, at best, they're number 3s.
Let's go back to this comment right here, Emma. Scroll back up. Right there. The Dark Phoenix has been on my ass about CP3, son. About CP3. Listen, I'm not forgetting the greatness of CP3. I'm talking about this season. If you look at this season, even if you want to use stats, look at his stats across the board. Career lows in just about every major shooting category. 3-pointers, field goal percentage, efficiency percentage. Like, they're way low. Like, so it's not, I'm not just making this shit up. You know what I mean? Like, I know that's your guy. That's cool. CP3's a legend. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best point guards to ever touch a basketball. I'm not debating that. I'm just talking about this season. He has not been the guy. And he has to be the guy if the Suns are going to try and reach another level, because apparently DA and McHale don't know what the fuck another level is, because one game they see it, and then the next game they come to they forget what the hell they just did. It's like they got the Men in Black treatment when they went home, and they're like, oh, what's basketball? And then McHale shoots like 2 for 45 from 3. Like, this team is so frustrating because you know the potential is there, but it's just not there.
Yeah, and again, I don't disagree with you in totality when it comes to CP3. That's
How did you play when you were 37? Well, I'm not in the league, and I never was, so it doesn't fucking matter.
I never played well, if that's your question.
I don't get paid based on my NBA career. I promise you.
Let's take a look at some of the super chats here before we get too far along. Psycho Blue said, B-Ball Cthulhu says, Quake and Terror NBA Twitter, the Suns rise, and thus I have too. The seal cracked and shall crack further. I think Basketball Cthulhu may be overreacting a little bit to tonight, because I don't think Devin Booker can keep it up where he scores 58 a night. Ghost Balls, you can suck it. He says, Espo is a Chad. Thanks for your $1.99. I'll spend it on whatever the hell I want. Colin DeWitt in the chat with back-to-back super chats. $1.99 says, talk about a Kogi, which we did. Check. Yeah. We got there. Mm-hmm. And then says, Espo, with the freezing cold a Kogi take. I said his heart and hustle is important to this team. I do not deny that. And what he provided on the boards tonight in the fourth was huge. That's not what our debate was. No, I mean, but I do appreciate what Kogi brings to the table. I also accept he's one of those guys that's going to be our irrational fan favorite for the rest of this season because of that heart and hustle. Here in Phoenix, we appreciate guys like that and enjoy guys like that.
When you have a team that's going through it like the Suns were for the last several games, you have to appreciate the energy and the hustle when times are dark. And Josh Okogie, it didn't matter if the Suns were down by 20 or up by 3, he continues to bring it on a night-to-night basis, and he's making it known that he should be part of that rotation, especially when they get to the playoffs, because he's valuable. He's absolutely valuable.
Yeah, agreed. Also, Brittany Price in the chat says, on top of all, Book hit 12,000 career points tonight.
I missed
that.
So,
yeah, another milestone for Booker, and he's closing in on Walter Davis for the most in franchise history. Davis sitting at 15,666 points. So we're talking another couple of years, and Devin Booker will own that record as well. You want some record-breaking speed, Saul? You can get that at Octane Raceway. You thought it was no Jesus?
No. I didn't know where you're going with that.
Octane Raceway is one of our newest partners, and I got to tell you, I've been out there a handful of times. We went out there as a staff. I've gone out there with some family members that love the racing, love the video games at Mavericks. We had a great time when I went out there with my nephews, and we had a great time when we went out there as a staff too. There's something immensely fun about driving go-karts. It gets those competitive juices flowing, and then the video games as well. One of my favorite places to be out there. They have 22 bowling lanes, 85 arcade games, a state-of-the-art laser tag arena, billiards, dozens of 4K televisions, and 1,500 square feet of meeting spaces, event spaces that we took advantage of, a restaurant, a bar, the racetrack at Octane, everything that you could want. It's a lot of fun, and we're excited to welcome them as a member of the PHNX family. You've seen the fun we've had. Now you should go out there and have some fun as well. And then our friends at Underdog Fantasy, I have talked about this a lot, but for me, it is the ultimate in fantasy sports because I don't have to spend a full season worrying about a roster. I can draft and I can just play one night, take my winnings, and be done with it and go to another draft the next day or 3 days down the line when my friends want to get into it. And I love that about it. I also love their pick'em game. It's easy. You just pick higher or lower on certain stats. If you string 5 of them together and you win on all 5 of those, you get 20 times your money with it. I have won a sizable amount on that app and had some fun with it. I know a lot of our other guys have as well. I know the ASU Sun Devil crew is all about that as well. It's easy to get started. Just go to underdogfantasy.com or download the app. Sign up today using that promo code PHNX, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. So the chat's been getting into some talk about potential guys that could be a running mate for Devin Booker. I've seen DeMar DeRozan mentioned there, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah, well, we got something for Kyle Kuzma because apparently tonight he put this up and he basically just said, book at Devin Booker, tagged him. Listen, Kuzma's been one of those guys that have been on the radar, been in speculation. At this point, I'll take anybody. Anybody that can drop a bucket, please. Come help us. Help.
Is he a number 2? Or is he?
No.
He's a glorified 3, but a more consistent one than you're getting out of guys.
Yeah, I think he's a more consistent 3 than, certainly than Mikal and potentially DA. DA's floor is higher than Mikal's offensively. But can he be consistent? That's all we want. We want somebody that can consistently help out Devin Booker.
Well,
so
you add Kuz, you bring back Cam Johnson when he's healthy. That's a pretty solid power forward rotation that you're looking at. You've got guys both on the bench, whether it's Kuz or Cam Johnson on the bench that can score and a starter in that position. It goes from what's been a weakness since Jay left the team and Cam Johnson's been injured to a strength. So I like that about it as well.
I will say the Siakam stuff, I don't think there's any possible way Siakam finds his way to the Valley unless James Jones has just got one hell of a way of dealing. But Siakam,
I don't think they're going to be able to get in that because other teams are going to have better offers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and you're going to probably have to part with a Mikal in that case, I'd imagine. You'd have
to part with Mikal or Cam and picks for Siakam.
And I don't think Cam and 4 first-round picks is enough for Toronto to actually be willing to entertain that necessarily.
Well, and I think money-wise that can't happen.
Yeah, you'd have to. I mean, there's other.
Yeah,
things.
I mean, Jay Crowder obviously have to be part of that. But I mean, if you're the Raptors, like this is the thing we all need to think about too. Unless somebody's on an expiring deal, you need to think about it from their end. Would you trade Siakam for Cam Johnson and a couple first-round picks?
No,
probably never.
If I were a Raptors fan and that was my return, I'd be pretty damn pissed.
Now,
off.
DeMar DeRozan is interesting. Again, cap-wise, I don't think it would happen because it's just such a giant leap. But he is an older player, and the Bulls look like they're on the verge of just blowing the whole thing up. So if he is available, maybe. But you know what?
I don't think he's different enough from Booker.
That's okay.
I mean, do they operate in too much of the same space? Does it become problematic?
No.
I don't know, but I think you're right. That's somebody that you could get for less of a cost than a Siakam, and maybe you have a package that Bulls are interested in with draft picks. But we gotta welcome somebody into the program.
No, we don't.
We don't?
No, Emma, you know what to do.
In the darkness,
Jesus
beyond
Christ.
the light, there shall only be one. Welcome
That was how I was trying to cue Emma. Was we need to welcome somebody, and usually that's how we welcome Gerald.
Like, huh?
She's just looking at us like, huh?
Because like I understood Espo's cue, but you were like, we have something. I was like, what the fuck did I miss?
Gerald, how are you, Gerth?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Oh, it's been an adventure tonight. Much like that game, we went down early, but we came back big. So.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Gerald, we could talk about the obvious if you'd like. From your vantage point, just how good was Devin Booker tonight?
That was one of those games.
The running joke here was, how many times has Gerald almost jumped out of his seat tonight? And we have an over-under of about 7. So,
I mean, it was lower. It was 0 because I just don't do that. But it was.
But
if there was a game for that kind of behavior, it would have been this one because it's been a while since we've seen a performance like that. And I know, Saul, we've talked about this in the past, that sometimes because Booker is so smooth, he doesn't really have those nights that just or those plays that kind of just draw your attention. But tonight was the exception to that. I mean, he was incredible. And we've talked about the great ones, the superstars that are in that kind of elite tier that's just above Book, are the ones that put teams on their back, that can do it every night. Like, that was tonight, really. And I know that people were down on him, and, we can talk. I don't want to talk about MVP stuff anymore, but the way that he played tonight proved again that, this team, A, relies on him for a little bit too much, and B, when he delivers, it really is something spectacular.
How was the energy in the arena when they went down by 24? Because it felt, as just watching it on TV, that it seemed pretty bleak before Booker went on that run. Was that kind of the feeling there?
Yeah, I mean, it was very much like Booker's going off, but here we go again. Like, this team just kind of has our number. And to be honest, if the Suns don't get 58 from Devin Booker, they lose that game probably by double digits, which is not comforting, really, when you look at this matchup as a whole. But for tonight, it was good to see that, yeah, Booker is capable of carrying that load. You can't expect 58, 5, and 5 from him on a night-to-night basis, but he really did step up and kind of answer the call. Monty had been saying, he could tell he was frustrated from the consecutive string of poor performances that he had in a row. He had predicted after the last game that Book was due. I don't think he thought it would be anything quite like this, but for him to score 25 straight points for the Suns between the third and fourth quarter, he did everything for them tonight. And then down the stretch, when he was tired and when he was getting doubled, he still made the right play. He trusted his teammates, got off the ball. Chris Paul hit a couple of big shots. Josh Okogie got a couple of clutch offensive rebounds. So they kind of rewarded his faith, and in every way possible, that's what you want from a superstar.
Can you settle something for us?
I knew he was going to go there.
He brought it
up.
I'm
already worried because Emma texted me. She's like, please hurry. They're fighting.
Josh Okogie or Chris Paul, who was the more impactful player tonight?
They were impactful in such different ways. I don't really like Chris Paul on the offensive end. He hit 5 threes tonight, which was huge. I know we've talked about him being willing to shoot. I asked Monty about it, if he seems more comfortable in catch and shoot environments, and Monty was like, no. We keep telling him, shoot the ball on the bench. But Josh Okogie, obviously defensively, getting the brunt of that Zion matchup. He had a couple of clutch offensive rebounds. I think it was Paul overall, but I mean, it's 2A and 2B to me because of the different areas that they contributed in tonight.
I just want you to know, Gerald, that you were wrong. Okay. and the chat says you were wrong, and Espo is wrong as well.
Okay, good to know.
What was Monty's overall take on Booker tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he was saying, obviously, he's seen this type of thing before, maybe not 25 straight points. He was joking, because he was asked if he's ever seen a guy go like that, 25 straight. He said, I probably have. I probably was defending him or coaching against him at some point. But he was saying, Book's energy as a scorer was infectious, because you looked at that team going into halftime. Book had it going. He had 22, but the rest of his teammates were missing a lot of open shots. They weren't shooting the ball well. And he was saying that Book's kind of confidence rubbed off on everybody as the game continued to go along, especially when he went nuclear in that third quarter. And that's the type of thing that you want from a superstar. Like, he scored almost half of his team's points, but down the stretch when he was getting doubled, when he was tired, it was some of the other guys that had to step up and make shots, and they finally did.
Gerald, again, going back to your original point, if Devin Booker doesn't have 58 points tonight, what would be your biggest takeaway from this game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably still that the Suns are hard to fully evaluate because they're not whole yet. I mean, you look at the guys they have on the bench, they have two bona fide starters. They have a guy who started for them last year, and they have their backup point guard who was starting for them for about half the year because Chris Paul was hurt. Like, they're clearly missing pieces, but at the same time, the Pelicans are missing a pretty big piece in Brandon Ingram. I don't like this matchup. I don't think the Suns match up well with this team. I didn't think they matched up well with them last year. We talked about it a lot because of the offensive rebounding. This is a team that gives the Suns fits. But I do, and they're just so deep. Like, the Pelicans are a good team, and they have a much deeper bench than the Suns do right now. So for me, it's still the need to get Devin Booker a certified number 2, like, guy that can take over when he's being doubled, when he's having an off night. And it's that, James Jones did an excellent job hitting on the margins with some of these guys like Josh Okogie, Damian Lee, Jock Landale. But it's the middle tier guys, the guys that, there's $30 million going to Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, and Landry Shamet for not giving you a ton right now.
Not giving you anything.
That is killing. That's a killer for this team's title prospects.
Give me a percentage of what if you think the Suns will be able to get a viable number 2 option before the trade deadline. Give me a percentage.
Like 5% probably.
Yeah, that's kind of what I feel.
Yeah, that's where I'm sitting too. What else? Who did you get to talk to in the locker room tonight, and what did they have to say about the game?
Yeah, so we got a hold of Chris in the locker room. We asked him about Monty's joke that they keep telling him to shoot on the bench, and he was saying it's kind of a mindset change as far as being a little bit more aggressive because he's used to having the ball in his hands. He was saying there was that 1-3 on the corner where he kind of hesitated and then shot it anyway and hit it. They need to get rid of that hesitation, but he was saying he couldn't tell if he was closing out to block the shot or just closing out to get a hand up. So it still very much is, even for a guy who's spent 18 years in the league, as a Hall of Famer, one of the most brilliant basketball minds we've seen, it's still a learning process for him to kind of get acclimated to taking more catch and shoot looks. But he was saying, as far as Booker's performance, that, like, yes, he has seen it before, but he was asked, is Devin Booker, do you see him as kind of one of these greats? And he was saying he's pretty much been there already. So, again, not something he's never seen before, but something he said he's grateful for and doesn't take for granted.
For somebody that's been in the league for 18 years?
Yeah.
18 years. Chris Paul, wake the fuck up, shoot the ball when you're open. Well, that's it. Because there was multiple times tonight where he did. He did the typical thing where he catches the ball, waits for the defender to get close enough so he can throw the ball in the corner. But if the guy in the corner is Josh Okogie, shoot the ball.
Have you guys asked, and I find this interesting, if Chris Paul is struggling so much with this off the ball play, why hasn't Monty put him back in a position where he's more comfortable? Is this all just a grand experiment to try to make them better for the playoffs?
He's going to wear down.
But at this point,
what he's good at is being a point guard, and he can't do that for 34 minutes a night anymore.
Okay, but
I think it's very much a balancing act of trying to feel that process out, because I think for Chris it has been an adjustment, and I think everybody knows that. I think they're trying to leverage, because if you look at his career numbers, Chris Paul has always been a great catch and shoot 3-point shooter. The problem is he's at the stage of his career where we've talked about this. It takes him longer to load up his shot. And with all the athleticism that's on the floor, when a guy closes out, he's trying to make the play to go from a good shot, a contested shot, to a great shot. He mentioned one where he threw the ball to, I think it was Mikal Bridges on the weak side, and passed up a shot as like, I probably should have shot that, but I didn't know if he was closing out and I was trying to make the right play. So it really is a mindset thing, because he's always the guy trying to get others involved. As far as taking him off of that role and putting him back on the ball more, I think it very much is an experiment. They want to empower some of their other guys to create more offense, even if it costs them a win here and there, and B, saving him for the playoffs because they're hoping that he's still able to be that guy that can get to his spots in the mid-range. We haven't seen it a ton. We saw it last game a little bit more. But I do think it is kind of a rough trial and error process for them right now.
Have they disbanded the MIDI committee? Is that what's happened? Because we have not seen a lot of mid-range over the last week.
Thank God, because I can't look. I know that you have a lot of personnel on this team that is elite in the mid-range. Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, DA. Like your 4 best players are all fantastic in the mid-range, and you should leverage that when you can. But I know people were bagging on the Suns for taking way too many threes in the first half. I didn't think the quality of those shots was bad. They were just missing a lot of them. And if you want to be a winning team, we know all the numbers tell you you have to attack the basket, get to the free throw line, and be efficient from three-point range. So I know in a playoff setting that mid-range thing will still be a benefit for them, but I would like to see them get in the habit of getting to the paint and kicking out for threes, because if you're getting into the paint, that's where your offense is going to thrive.
Gerald, talk me off this ledge if I'm wrong, but it feels like if Mikal Bridges does not hit one of his first 2 or 3 threes in a game, he's toast for the rest of the game. That's what it feels like to me. And I said that at the beginning of the game. I'm like, oh, we're getting that Mikal tonight.
And then he promptly hit one off the back of the rim.
Yeah, and that's basically what we got tonight. Again, the inconsistency from Mikal Bridges just continues to really bite this team in the ass. Is that your perception of him in terms of the starts of games, or is it something different?
No, I think it's spot on. I think a couple of years ago, someone on Twitter, I can't remember who, called it the Mikal Bridges effect, and was saying, if he makes his first 3, he's going to go off. If he misses it, the Suns could be in trouble. I think it was Sam Cooper. But yeah, it kind of does happen. And I think for him, sometimes a couple of missed shots early snowballs. And it does for Devin Booker, but just not as consistently, because he's such a good scorer, he can work himself out of it. Mikal is not used to being relied on for being that consistent scorer. And I think it takes some time as that guy to kind of work yourself out of a funk if you miss your, especially if your first couple of shots are spot up threes where you're not really on the ball a lot, it can be a little bit harder to work yourself into a rhythm. So yeah, I definitely think so. They could use a more consistent Mikal Bridges, and that's kind of part of the problem of what we're seeing as far as not having a reliable number 2 guy. Like, especially with DA out, you would hope for elevated performances from Mikal, and we haven't quite gotten those yet.
I feel like this is a case of be careful what you wish for, because we all said we want them to experiment. We're okay with them losing some early season games. Now we're experiencing it, and everybody freaks out with every little thing.
I don't think it's that case. Like, I'm fine with them experimenting and stuff like that, but guys like Mikal can't go 2 for fucking 26 like they did the other night against the Rockets.
But that's who
not
he is.
That's not experimentation. That's just awful basketball.
But
there's a difference.
At some point, I think we have to accept that Mikal Bridges and DeAndre Ayton have shown us who they are, and that consistency offensively may not be anything we ever get for them. That being the third option for both of them may be where they top out.
True, but I don't think that's in the name of experimentation, right?
No, but I'm talking the CP3 stuff, some of the rotational stuff. They have injuries, which you'd rather have now. So all in all, you get this. Oh, they're losing some regular season games, still in the mix in the West, though. So
yeah, no, I totally get that. Oh, my thing is too. I do want to say this out loud because I see this all the time. Like people think that if you rest guys now. And I do agree, you got to throttle some people's minutes back. But, like Devin Booker tonight, for instance, he's on an all-time heater. And people were talking about maybe they should have taken him out so he didn't play 42 minutes because he might pull his hamstring again. It doesn't really work like that, okay? Like, Devin Booker's on an all-time heater. You don't pull him from the game, in my estimation. And it doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to roll his ankle the next game or whatever. Like, you can try and save these guys for the playoffs all you want. It's not going to fucking work because they still got to play these games. So I just want to say that out loud.
Yeah, and they'll still want to play these games because that's the problem is we talk about Book and Mikal a lot as far as Monty needing to dial down their minutes. Good luck trying to keep those guys out of the game. Good luck telling Devin Booker, hey, I know you've got 40 some points through 3 quarters, but go ahead and sit for 4 minutes. it's just not going to happen. And I understand like there needs to be an adult in the room, and this is only his second game after coming back from the hamstring thing. But, you know, Monty joked like the only person that could have stopped him from scoring tonight was me if I had put him on the bench, and the Suns needed every bit of it tonight. So yeah, you're not going to get a guy like that off the floor.
And he did to start the fourth quarter. He sat him for like a minute and 4 seconds?
A minute
or something
and 4 seconds.
Then he brought him right
He
back.
played him the entire third, sat him a minute and 4 seconds, and then brought him back.
Nobody
in.
ices out his own players like Monty Williams. Damn it.
Last question for me, Gerth. Devin Booker, great son or greatest son?
He's going to be the greatest son. I don't know if he's there. If something happened and he never played another Suns game again, I don't know if he'd be there yet, but he's going to be. Like, he just is. He's already in an elite scoring category. I think somebody tweeted he already has more 50-point games in his career than Carmelo Anthony ever did, and that's a top 10 scorer in NBA history. Like,
he has more 50-point games than Steve Nash, Walter Davis, and Charles Barkley combined in their career.
Which is absurd. And I know you need to get the championship. You need to get some type of hardware, preferably MVP. He needs to keep stacking up all-stars and all-NBA selections. But, like, it feels inevitable for him to be there eventually.
I think at the very least you can call him the greatest scorer in Suns history already.
Yes.
And I think he's the greatest son, but I'll accept your answer for right now, Gerald.
It's funny. I thought for sure Gerald would say he was the greatest son because Espo and I, for the only time tonight, agree on this point that we both think
Really?
he is the greatest
Yes.
son already. Yes.
It was the only
Look,
thing
I
we
mean,
agreed on.
They're all great options, but like for me, like Nash having 2 MVPs holds a lot of weight. Chuck having an MVP and leading a team to the finals, like I know Book has led one as well. I think he's going to be. Like, give it another season or two, and I don't think there'll be a question about it.
All right, Gerald, any final thoughts from out there for us?
No, I don't think so. Just let's hope the Suns get him a little bit more help on Monday against the Lakers so he doesn't have to play, 44 minutes and drop nearly 60 points to get a win.
It was only 42 minutes, Gerald. Don't.
Yeah.
42.
Hey,
42.
don't blow it out of proportion. Jeez, what is wrong with you?
Gerald, get some sleep tomorrow because we got back-to-backs Monday and Tuesday. We need you fresh. We may need you for 58 points. So
Well, the Suns are probably going to practice, but I will do my best.
sleep in between the practice, and so get some rest. Thanks for being out there for us tonight, Gerald.
No problem. Have a good one, guys.
You know who doesn't rest? The people over at Illegal Pete's. One of our newest partners here. They have one of the best menus in the Valley. If you like Mexican food, they got bowls, tacos, salads, burritos, nachos, and some of the best custom cocktails and beers
The
that you're gonna
nachos
have.
off the chain. The queso is elite.
I heard the piping hot queso is amazing. I heard the guac is great too. I was not here for the taste test.
I mean, guac is guac. You know?
I've said this before. You can guac at its worst can be awful. Guac at its best is elite. Where queso, you can't really mess up melted cheese in a big way.
Fucking can.
Not like you can with guac. Have you ever had an awful guac?
Have you ever had an awful queso?
I guess if you burn
Like,
it.
who the fuck made this?
Yeah,
is what my instant reaction is.
But you're never going to have that at Illegal Pete's because they hit it out of the park every freaking time.
There you go.
I'm excited to be out there. And I heard they have some of the strongest margaritas around. So if you want to, the next time there's a Suns loss or you have an argument with your good friend like I did with Saul and you want to forget it, strongest margaritas at Illegal Pete's. You can head over
I had
there.
one right now.
We're excited to welcome Illegal Pete's to the PHNX family. Make sure to check out their location off Mill in Tempe. Plus, when you purchase $100 in gift cards, they're going to throw in $25 on the house, so you can give a gift to somebody and treat yourself to a gift as well. And be on the lookout for a new informal happy hour with our PHNX Sun Devils crew. They are fun to drink with. I'll just say that. So join them out.
Yeah, they're all
Illegal
having a
Pete's.
good time tonight somewhere.
Yeah, we weren't invited.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah,
It's all good. We're not bitter
Why
at all.
would we, though? I mean,
We're not going to be petty about it either. I promise you that.
Shane won't be working
That's
12
cool.
straight days.
That's
So
all right.
much for that vacation.
I don't know what happened there.
I don't know.
It just worked out like that. Sorry.
So to recap, Devin Booker was great. Everybody else was except for Josh Okogie and CP3. They both showed up a little bit. Anything else we need to say to the people?
No, it's good that we won 2 games in a row.
Hey, win streak.
Yeah. I wanted to see how this team was going to bounce back, and I know Devin Booker had an abnormal game. I mean, 58 points is not the norm.
I wish it was.
I wish it was too. But it's. I think these are the necessary kind of games. You know, the kind of throwaway game that the Clippers gave us, and then this game that you just need to kind of keep the momentum going. And we just hope that at some point things start to click for the entire team and they get back on track. And that's what you're really holding out hope for. So hopefully we don't get back on the bad track with the Lakers, because I really want to beat the Lakers right now because they're playing pretty good and I fucking hate them.
Well, it looks like Anthony Davis might be out with another
them.
Injury, which may make Monday a little bit easier. But I think what you bring up is a valid point. Without, we haven't seen this team play a complete game yet this season, and they're still right in the mix in the West, and still haven't made the deal that everybody knows that they're going to make.
Also, you want to hear some other great news?
Yes, I do.
The University of Arizona Wildcats just upset Tennessee. Let's go. Bear down,
that,
baby.
6 versus 9?
Yeah. Beat the number 16. Let's go.
There we go. All right. Well, that is it for us tonight. Again, your Suns beat the New Orleans Pelicans 118-114 behind 58 points from Devin Booker, a 24-point comeback for the Suns. He's Saul Bookman. You can follow him at Saul_Bookman. The mistress behind the Mac is Emma. I don't think she wants her socials out there, so I'm not going to give them to you. And you can follow me at Espo. And remember, even though you can't agree on Josh Okogie and CP3, you still can be friends. Ahoy, hoy.
Bear down.
Never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like damn.